My name is Keith and this is Am I Rich? Today's cheap stock of the day is Fiat-Chrysler, ticker symbol FCAU. So today we're going to be looking at this company because its earnings are coming out I think tomorrow. So an interesting stock. Personally, I bought it when it was in the $11 range, and it went on a tear for a while, and subsequently it's gone down quite a bit. But there's a few reasons. One is, I guess, they had a couple quarters that weren't as great as expected, and just when you thought like the company might turn around, not only did the market kind of crash, but just before that, their CEO, Sergio Marchionne, he was like an Italian-Canadian businessman, he passed away. So anytime a major CEO that's really doing great things for a company leaves or dies or something like that, there's usually some volatility in the stock, and so stock prices dropped a little bit. Not only that, the auto industry has overall been dropping in value, especially considering things like Tesla are coming along, which are kind of a disturbance in the whole status quo of how car manufacturers work. So yeah, so let's get into the financials. So the PE ratio, currently I think it's around 8.7. The forward PE is expected to be around, I said 8.7? Anyways, forward PE is expected to be 4.5. And the price to book ratio is 1.1. These are all very low numbers. It's expected to grow. So even the low estimates for earnings are expected to grow. And out until 2021, I think all the analysts still see pretty decent growth in Chrysler. And a price to book ratio of 1.1. If you get a company like around 1.2 or below that, it's usually pretty cheap, unless it's a very risky company. Then you have to be more leery. And maybe some people think this company is risky. That's could be one theory. So, what else? It has no dividend currently, but believe it or not, the whole plan that Sergio Marchionne put out there to try and reform the company was to streamline its businesses by selling unprofitable or hard to manage businesses and focusing on their core business. So things like Jeep or Dodge trucks and a few other cars, spinning off Ferrari from their business, and most recently they spun off Magnetic Marelli, the parts company, I think. So because of that, they're going to have, they're planning on having a special dividend. They're going to vote on it. So it'll be interesting to hear what happens. I don't know, I can't remember if they voted on it yet or not, but tomorrow when they speak about the earnings, it'll be interesting to find out if they do plan on paying out this dividend. It's expected it could be as high as $1.5 per share. Now currently the stock price is about $17.45. So, you know, you're getting like 9% in a single dividend. So that's one reason why this might look attractive right now. Plus, because the company has been turning around and is quite profitable right now, they are talking about having a potential stable dividend, which they haven't had a dividend since the whole 2008-2009 crisis, when Chrysler and GM needed to be bailed out by US and Canada. So their dividend could be around 50 cents per share, which again would be quite high considering their price is at $17. Well, it's around 3%, I think, so that's still pretty good for a dividend, although right now I think Ford has a much higher dividend, but Ford is a company that's in a kind of a questionable position. And the last 5 years, the growth of Chrysler has been about 28%. I think this is probably one of the fastest growing major car companies. I suppose Tesla, you would say, is growing faster, but Tesla still hasn't had a full year of profitability, and they have lots of debts that they need to pay soon. So those are a little bit different, and plus it's in a space that right now is not seeing a lot of serious competition, so it has kind of that runway ahead of it. So that's one difference. Anyway, so it seems to be growing. It seems to be quite cheap, and analysts think it's going to keep growing. Another reason is, now some people, I guess the big worry was that the main man behind this all, the CEO, Sergio, he passed away last year. So people are thinking, well, now are they going to be able to continue the momentum that he had? And the thing is, before he died, he was already planning on stepping down. So Mike Manley, the head of Jeep, was planning on taking over anyways. So there was a little bit of a transition happening already. Plus they had already put out a plan for the next 5 years of their business, which included the selling of Magnetic Rally, which they got a good price for. So they are continuing that plan. I suppose this earnings, people will find out if they're, how well they're continuing, but right now it seems like they are on that path still. And so for the next 5 years, it seems like they're going to do what Sergio wanted, and that likely indicates that their company will be much more profitable and should be headed up. I guess after 5 years, well, then we'll have to see how the new management kind of plays that. But if they move into more of a dividend role, it might become more of a dividend type stock. But at the moment, it seems they are also a growth stock. So that's one reason why I think it's looking like a really interesting stock. I really want to know how things turn out tomorrow. And right now, I kind of see the price realistically. I think it would be stable around. It probably will shoot up in the next 3 to 6 months. I can see it getting to at least a stable like $21, maybe as high as 25. And then, but if the estimates are right for its earnings, I don't see why you wouldn't have it at least $25 per share by 2021, unless somehow all car companies just don't seem to be able to compete. So yeah, that's kind of my take on Chrysler. I would love to know what you guys think. If you want, feel free to leave a comment in the doodly-doo below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.